And then I asked her, like, that doesn't mean that this is okay because other apartments are worse. This is not good. Like, you don't have to live like this.
We have a situation where if they're living in a bad condition, that they can seek help. It's not that they're stuck into that condition.
Housing in New York City has become synonymous with the dilapidated living conditions many of its more than 400,000 residents have endured in recent years. Today, Wheels Films will interview residents and an expert on these poor living conditions and solutions to them.
I would say in my mother's apartment, my mother's been here in the Dyckman Projects, I guess, 40-something years, since the 70s. The main thing is roaches. Like, definitely the main thing is like roaches.
I got plastic coming down in the kitchen. They plastered the bathroom and whatnot, but it's coming back down again.
What exactly is unsustainable housing?
So there's apartments that have mold, that they've been broken down, that they are not up to date, and in terms of just like the safety, right? Like some of them don't have the necessary safety precautions. Like people might not have, a functioning bathtub, or they might have a bedroom that just isn't livable.
For decades, this has been the unfortunate reality for many New York City residents whose apartments have been plagued by rampant and recurring mold caused by unchecked leaks and moisture. Despite pleas from tenants and community leaders and even orders from a federal court, the New York City Housing Authority, the nation's largest residential landlord, has failed to properly identify and fix the problems, leaving residents to suffer.
I think some do. I think many don't. And I think there's a level of fear that some people have because they feel like if they speak out too much, there might be a consequence that they're unaware of.
Some do and some don't. And a lot of people in here, I don't know how they got in here, but they should have known how to speak English so they could know their rights. And that's the problem, another problem we have here.
What are some rights residents have when it comes to bettering their homes?
They can, call 301, that there's different methods to figure out how to make sure that their landlord takes care of the situation, but a lot of people don't know how to. Things you can do is make sure that tenants organize. So when you have people who are organizing, they build sort of like a tenant association, then they kind of are able to negotiate a little bit better with the landlord to say, like, this is the conditions we want. They can make sure that they have a better they can advocate better for themselves, and like then they seek out nonprofit organizations and lawyers who can help them in that, because there's a lot of different organizations and people who do that type of work, but some people just need to find out that information.
It took them a long time to give me a paint job after my mom died, and it took a long time before she died to get her second coat of paint on her apartment. So when they did it, it took another 20-some years to get another one, and she passed away, and I got that paint job. I supposed to receive the second one, and I never received it.
Yeah, I think, yes. So I think landlords do take advantage of that. And I think some landlords use it as a point of leverage. Like, if you speak up, if you complain too much, then they start making threats. Then they might not fix things, knowing that the person doesn't know that the landlord doesn't have a right to do that.
So why do these landlords take advantages of these residents and their lack of knowledge?
They know that some people aren't gonna necessarily call, and like some of these people live in really affordable apartments, but they're not up to par in terms of living standards. And so because of this, people think that they're getting a deal like, oh yeah, I'm paying very cheap rent, but I live in a very bad apartment, so I'm not gonna make any complaints because then they don't want to get issues with the landlord. So the landlords kind of take advantage of this situation where they're just like, oh, like these people aren't going to call the city on me, or they're not going to make complaints on me because they have a good deal, and that's not the truth.
So what is the truth? How can we as a community come together to help better our living conditions?
Sustainable buildings, sustainable development is part of the work that's going to keep going into the future, but the people have to organize and make sure that they ask for their government or investors, and people who are going to do these buildings, to make sure that they invest in these communities, but also to make it affordable so they can still stay in that community.
So remember, a better tomorrow starts with doing something today. So go out there and fight for better, sustainable housing.